Hi, my name is Ro, and welcome to my channel, Astro Ro. I'm so glad you're here. In my channel, we're going to be discussing many topics related to astrology, and I'm so excited that our first video is actually going to be about the law of attraction and how it applies to astrology. So let's get into it. In today's video, we're going to discuss why the law of attraction isn't working for you and how you can resolve this issue. I'm going to take a little bit of a different approach and explain the law of attraction by utilizing some foundational concepts from astrology. Some of you may not like what you're going to hear because I'm going to be telling you the truth, which could be difficult to accept, but I'm hopeful that the alternative perspective I will be sharing will actually be a new and hopefully a more beneficial way to understand the law of attraction and how you can use it to work for you. One of the most well-known examples of the law of attraction is a story about Jim Carrey. He wrote himself a check for $10 million, kept it with him, and he gave himself between 3 and 5 years to achieve this goal. He dated the check November 23rd, 1995. Close to November 1995, he actually learned he would be earning $10 million for an upcoming film. So to explain the law of attraction through astrology, there is an important concept to understand. The concept of negative, positive, and neutral planets. Negative planets make things manifest with more difficulty, and positive planets make things manifest with more ease and grace. I don't want you to get scared by the word negative. A negative planet simply makes you work a little bit harder, but you definitely get rewarded if you put in the hard work. The positive planets are Jupiter and Venus. They're always considered positive. The negative planets are Saturn, Mars, and the Sun. These planets are always considered negative. It should be noted that the Sun is actually considered mildly negative. We'll get into this a little more as we get into the video. Additionally, the Moon and Mercury are considered neutral planets. And they're considered neutral because they can be either positive or negative depending on what other planets they're sitting with, and specifically when it comes to the moon, we have to determine if the moon is waxing or waning. A waxing moon simply means that the moon is getting farther away from the sun, and a waning moon actually means that the moon is getting closer to the sun. But again, I don't want you to be concerned at all. We're going to go into much more detail about these planets and how you can figure out these little details a little later in the video. So, if a positive planet is currently being activated for you, that means that things are going to manifest with more ease and grace. And if a negative planet is currently activated for you, this just means that you're going to have to work a little bit harder and things could be a little more difficult. So it's something to be mentally prepared for. If the law of attraction isn't currently working for you, it's important to confirm what planet is currently being activated in your life and learning to work with the energy of that planet in a positive and beneficial way so that you can actually benefit from the law of attraction. We're going to be discussing the energy of each planet in detail and how you can tap into that particular planet's energy to benefit from the law of attraction. And understanding astrology can help you understand how to better utilize the law of attraction to actually manifest your desires. So to confirm what planet is currently activated in your life, please go to the following website and enter in your birth details. I'm going to be including a video where we go through this step by step, so just please follow along with that. So I'm going to show you guys how to check what planet is currently activated for you. It's super easy. We're just looking for one piece of information. So to get this information, we have to go to the following website. So I'm going to open up my internet browser and we're going to go to Vault of the Heavens, We have to go to this website specifically because it has a table that shows us what planets are activated at various points in our lives. So we're going to go down here and we're going to click on this link to the chart creator. And then we are going to enter in the details. Let's enter in the details for Jim Carrey. So Jim Carrey was born on January 17th, 1962. Oops. 1962. This is not working. Okay, just do it the slower way. 1962, there we go. And he was born at 2:30 a.m. And he was born in Canada. So we're going to select Canada. And he was born in Newmarket, Ontario. Okay. And for this section, South Indian, North Indian, it doesn't matter. You can select either. Just select this one. And we go to the next screen. So this is just confirming the details. Okay, yes, we wanted the Newmarket in Ontario. And we're going to hit continue. Okay, so now we have Jim Carrey's chart. So what we're going to do is we're going to check what planet was activated for Jim Carrey when he manifested that $10 million back in November 1995. If you know nothing about astrology, don't worry at all. We just want to look at the table that shows when planets are activated. I'm going to make a separate video teaching you how to read this chart if you're interested, but it's actually all of the same placements as the Western birth chart. If you're familiar with the Western birth chart, it typically looks like a wheel or a pizza with 12 sections. So this chart is just visualizing that same information, but in a slightly different way. So what we're going to be interested in is this table right here. So this table, it actually shows the different planets that were activated at different time periods or at different ages. And this is Jim Carrey's chart. So these are what planets were activated at different parts of his life. So just to help you guys understand how to read this, we'll start at the top. So MA, so that's Mars. So what this means is, I know it says -2 here. Don't worry about the -2. Think of this as 0. So pretty much from the age of 0 to 4 years and 10 months, Jim Carrey was running the time period of Mars when he was a baby. Okay, the next time period started at the age of 4 years and 10 months and went until about the age of 22 or 23. So this was the north node of the moon. It says RA here. RA stands for Rahu. The north node of the moon is also known as Rahu. And then what we're interested in is what was going on in November 1995. So we can see here Jupiter, this starts in 1984 and it goes till 2000. So 1995 is going to fall within this time period of Jupiter. So Jim Carrey actually had Jupiter activated in November of 1995. And it's that simple. You can see what planets have been active in the past, what planet is currently activated, and what will be active in the future. So while we're here, I want to point out that there is an additional table below, and this table actually shows 2 planets, as you can see here. So, for example, if a person is in a Mercury-Venus time period, they would want to watch both of the videos and understand what they need to do to tap into the energy of both of those planets. I have included timestamps for each planet, so please click on the timestamp to learn about your currently activated planet. So in this case, I would check the video for Mercury first, or the section for Mercury first, and then I would check it for Venus. So another thing about this table is the first planet listed gets priority. It's kind of like a person driving a car, and this second planet here is like a person in the passenger seat. So we call the first planet the Lord of the time period, and the second planet is known as the sublord of the time period. One thing to note is that in the second table, you don't see time periods from the past. This one only has up until November 2019. So that's just something to keep in mind. But you can definitely use it to see what planetary time period you're currently in and what planetary time period is going to be coming up. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments section, and I will see you back in the video. Let's use Jim Carrey as an example and confirm what planet was being activated in his life when he received that $10 million he was trying to manifest. So, in November 1995, a positive planet was actually being activated for Jim Carrey, the planet Jupiter. So, because Jupiter was being activated for Jim Carrey, things manifested with more ease and grace. Jupiter is a planet related to abundance, faith, and wisdom. So, to work with the energy of Jupiter, a person must develop a faith that they can attract things to themselves. Jupiter is actually the heaviest of all of the planets. And because it's the heaviest of all the planets, it has a strong ability to attract things to itself. The energy of Jupiter works like gravity, which pulls things towards it. Jim Carrey mentioned that he would visualize success coming to him. When he wrote himself that check for $10 million, he had faith or belief that he could attract wealth into his life. So it's clear that Jim Carrey was able to benefit from the law of attraction because the positive planet Jupiter was activated for him in November 1995 when he saw that increase in wealth and success. If the law of attraction isn't currently working for you, it's likely that a positive planet isn't currently being activated. And all this means is that you can still manifest things by utilizing the law of attraction, but you will need to tap into the energy of the planet that's currently being activated to manifest the things you desire. Another example of the law of attraction is Oprah. Oprah was born into poverty, and by the age of 32 had earned her first $1 million. She has discussed the law of attraction many times and has mentioned how the law of attraction has actually benefited her life. At the age of 32, the positive planet Venus was being activated for Oprah. You can still achieve success even if a negative planet isn't currently being activated for you. Tony Robbins earned his first initial $1 million at the age of 26 when the sun was activated for him. And Mark Zuckerberg earned his first $1 million at the age of 22 when the planet Saturn was being activated for him. To utilize the law of attraction in a deeply powerful way, understand the descriptions I'm going to share related to each planet when it's activated. And then ask yourself, if you're embracing and experiencing the main themes described for each one of these planets, are you embracing what it means to be in a Saturn activated period or a Mercury activated period? Understanding the karmic energy during a particular time in your life allows you to make some serious progress towards exhausting karmic debt. And this is actually what is necessary to allow the universe to help manifest for you. So let's discuss what you should focus on related to the law of attraction based on the planet that's currently being activated for you. So Jupiter, as mentioned earlier, Jupiter is a positive planet. Jupiter attracts things towards itself. So if you are in a Jupiter time period, what you need to focus your manifestation efforts on are going to be the following. Number one, gratitude. developing a sense of gratitude is going to be one of the most powerful ways that you can utilize the power of Jupiter to help you attract things to yourself. Because Jupiter is considered a positive planet, it's going to be beneficial for you to focus on all of the positive things in your life. One thing you could do is actually develop a daily gratitude practice. It can be as simple as waking up first thing in the morning and thinking about all of the things that you are actually grateful for, all the things that you're blessed to have in your life. Developing a sense of gratitude on a daily basis while you're in this Jupiter time period is one of the best things that you can do to utilize the law of attraction. Number 2, being charitable. Jupiter is a planet related to abundance, and giving to charity actually aligns so well with the energy of Jupiter because it's going to put you in an abundance mindset. When you're giving to charity or giving to any cause that you believe in, whether it's time or whether it's money, you are aligning yourself with the universe to say, look, I have an abundance mindset and I'm actually willing to give. And by willing to give, the universe is going to see that and it's going to reward you and it's going to bring things into your life. You're going to attract things into your life actually by giving money or time to an organization or a charity that you believe in. Number 3, practicing visualization. This is really easy. Jupiter is a planet related to faith. So actually being able to visualize the things that we want to attract into our lives and having faith that those things are going to come, putting it out in the universe and then having faith that it's going to come is one of the easiest ways to work with the planet Jupiter if that's the planet currently being activated for you. So let's discuss the next planet. If the planet Venus is currently being activated, then you should focus on the following. Number 1, making healthy choices. The planet Venus is related to balance and fairness, and it's actually the planet of worldly desires. So the best way to work with the planet Venus is to learn how to make choices that lead to higher fulfillment. One simple way to improve your ability to make healthy choices is to think about important decisions that you've made in the past and categorize them as either healthy or not healthy. Healthy choices are based on long-term thinking, and unhealthy choices are based on short-term thinking. In astrology, Venus has the role of the advisor to the king. A Venus that is functioning well is focused on making choices that are beneficial in the long term. So 2 areas where healthy choices can be made almost immediately are the foods we eat and the relationships we have. Ask yourself, is the food that you're eating and the relationships in your life, are they actually benefiting you in the long term? You can improve your life by eating foods that are going to promote good health. You can improve your life by maintaining fair and balanced relationships that make you feel fulfilled. If you answered no to these questions, one of the simplest things that you can do while you're in this Venus activated time is to begin making choices that are going to lead to higher fulfillment. So making choices that are ultimately going to benefit you in the long run, as opposed to the choices that fulfill your desires in the short term, but you know deep down that they're actually not the best thing for you. So that is one of the easiest ways to work with the law of attraction while you're in this Venus time period, is to try to manifest the ability or the mental attitude of making healthy choices that are going to lead to higher fulfillment. All right, So number 2, the second thing you can do while you're in a Venus activated period related to the law of attraction is to engage in healthy self-soothing practices. So what is self-soothing? Self-soothing is actually anything that we do ourselves to make us feel better. A great example is you've had a long day, you're going through stress. One thing people commonly do is they eat foods that actually make them feel good. This is a form of self-soothing. It's called comfort food for a reason. But again, as mentioned previously, Venus is about making healthy and balanced choices. And I think a place where people get into a lot of trouble is when they're trying to do these self-soothing practices, they don't approach them in a healthy and balanced way. It's very easy to go overboard when it comes to something as simple as sugar. I know many people who, when they're going through stressful times, they can't help themselves but go ahead and reach for that cookie or that extra piece of cake. And of course it makes them feel better in the short term, but ultimately it's not a decision that's leading to higher fulfillment in the long term. So you see, these concepts are building on top of each other. The first concept is, okay, I need to make healthy choices. Number 2 is, okay, I'm going to engage in self-soothing practices, but they need to come from that foundation of being a healthy choice that's going to lead to higher fulfillment. So self-soothing practices that are going to be healthy and balanced are going to be something that's going to benefit you greatly while you're in this Venus activated time period. You can utilize the law of attraction to manifest that type of attitude or those types of things in your life. You can make that decision. Okay, I'm only going to surround myself with things that enable me to make healthy choices. When I need to soothe myself, I'm going to rely on healthy options to actually make me feel good. So this is something to consider the next time you do your grocery shopping. Are you enabling yourself with things that will allow you to self-soothe, but in a healthy and balanced way? Another thing related to making healthy choices and engaging in healthy self-soothing practices is your relationship to things like drugs, alcohol, even the relationships you have in your life. People will have a drink, or they might even go down a little bit of a darker path and engage in drug use. But the important thing to understand is, why do people go down those paths? Why do they try to actually make themselves feel better or soothe using these types of things? Drugs, alcohols, bad relationships, bad friendships. It's a way to make ourselves feel better. But as mentioned previously, when it comes to the planet Venus, Venus is about balance and fairness. So what you need to try to do when you're doing these self-soothing practices, things that make you feel good, is you need to approach things from a foundation of, does this actually make me feel better, and is it going to lead to higher fulfillment in the long term? I think we could all agree that when it comes to things like alcohol and drugs and bad relationships, emotionally draining relationships, toxic relationships, even abusive relationships, these are not things that are going to lead to longer term fulfillment. They may make you feel good in the short term, but ultimately that this is not the best thing for you in the long term. So having this in mind, you can utilize the law of attraction to try to manifest this type of attitude or bring these types of things into your life. Blocking out or keeping away those negative self-soothing tools, and picking things that are actually going to be healthy and balanced and beneficial for you in the long term. And the third thing you can do while being in a Venus activated time period is simply be receptive. Allow good things to come into your life. You know, Venus is a planet that it receives things. It's actually a feminine planet, and feminine energy is receptive energy. Masculine energy is active energy. So receptive energy, it lets good things come to it. And what it also does is it knows what is good and what is bad for itself. So when it's allowing things to come in, it specifically knows, I want XYZ to come in because it's good, and I want to block out these various things because I know that they're not good for me. They're not going to lead to higher fulfillment. They're not healthy self-soothing practices. So just to recap, when it comes to Venus, what you can do is make choices that lead to higher fulfillment, engage in healthy self-soothing practices, and number 3, be receptive. Okay, so let's move on to the next planet, Saturn. If Saturn is currently being activated, then you should focus on the following. Number 1, basically you need to be mentally prepared to work hard. Saturn is a planet of karma, and when you're running a Saturn activated time period, this is a time period where the universe, it wants to see what you're made of. It's going to put you through difficult situations. It's going to put obstacles in your way. And what Saturn and ultimately the universe are really trying to see is, what ability do you have to overcome challenges? Saturn is a planet about survival, and when you're in a Saturn time period, Saturn and the universe, they just want to see you survive. They want to see you do the hard work, and they want to see you persevere and overcome any challenges that are going to come in your way. It's easier said than done, but mentally aligning yourself with this type of attitude that, yes, I know that I'm being asked to work hard, and being open to that and actually submitting and accepting that during this time period, I'm being asked to work hard, and I'm not going to fight against that. I will accept that this is what I'm being asked to do, and I'm going to continue moving forward. So number 2, being persistent. Saturn is the planet related to hard work, struggle, and patience. As mentioned previously, Saturn is the planet of karma and actually giving us the outcome of our karma. So one of the most beneficial ways to work with the energy of Saturn is to accept responsibility and to work hard to overcome any obstacles in our lives. Working with the energy of Saturn in a healthy way requires a person to accept their limitations and requires a person to be patient and focus on making small improvements that will eventually help a person overcome any challenges they're currently facing. I'll give you guys an example. A couple years ago, I was preparing to go to grad school. I really wanted to go, and I knew it was going to be something that was going to benefit my life, but there were definitely some challenges along the way. And as mentioned, Saturn requires a person to be persistent, to be able to overcome any challenges that come in their way. So when I was trying to get into grad school, one of the things required from me was to take a standardized test known as the GRE. Oh no! And for me, this was pretty difficult because when it comes to standardized tests, I never really did that well in these tests. And I knew that if I wanted to get into grad school, this was going to be a challenge that I needed to overcome. So the way that I attacked this task of doing well on the GRE is really tapping into this energy of Saturn and knowing that I'm going to have to work hard. This is what's being asked of me right now. But even more important than that was just being persistent. I was very, very persistent in how I approach this exam, the GRE. Simply, I was consistent. Like, I attacked it every day. I was very persistent, and my focus was to make small improvements every day. Saturn is a very slow-moving planet. It's the slowest moving of all the planets. So to see any type of real results, it requires a person to be patient. When I was studying for this exam, initially I didn't do well. Even when I went to take my first, even when I went to give the exam for the first time, I didn't do that well. And I actually had to come back and study more and prepare even more. And I had to take the test again. And ultimately, I was able to get the score that I needed to help me get into grad school. But it required persistence, and it required a mental attitude of knowing that I'm being asked to work hard right now and willingly accept that this is what the universe wants from me, and I'm going to do it. Number 3, building a strong foundation. So Saturn is a planet that's focused on developing a strong foundation. As mentioned previously, it's the slowest moving of all the planets. So it really takes time to build things up. But anybody could agree that when you build something, you want to build it with a strong foundation. You want to know that it can stand the test of time, and you want to know that you've done such a good job, such a strong job right at the beginning that you're not going to have to come back and work on this thing again. When a building is built, the foundation is the first thing, right? It's the most solid thing. It's what the main focus is. And once that strong foundation is in place, then you start building on top of that. That's how buildings are made. So knowing that you're being asked to build a strong foundation during this Saturn activated time period is actually a really powerful thing to keep in mind. I think a lot of people get discouraged or they get frustrated when they're continuing to try to work towards something and it's just not working. They're finding themselves having to start over. When you're in this Saturn activated time period, you're going to have to work hard, you're going to have to be persistent, but you're going to have to do a really high quality job. Everything that you do right from the beginning is going to need to be good. It has to be good quality, and by putting more of that time up ahead right at the beginning of what you're doing and building that strong foundation, it's ultimately going to save you time later down the road, because you're not going to have to come back and try to fix things. You're not going to have to come back and try to make up for mistakes that you made. You have that strong foundation, and as a result of that, you're able to continue moving forward and able to continue building on top of that foundation. This applies really well to what I was mentioning earlier when I was trying to get into grad school. Studying for that exam, the GRE, I wasn't doing so well. And what I noticed was part of the reason I wasn't doing so well was there were some gaps in my knowledge. There were some foundational things that I didn't understand related to the materials that were on that exam that I had to have some mastery over. And utilizing this energy of Saturn and aligning myself with it, utilizing the law of attraction to know that, okay, I need to be persistent, I need to work hard, I need to develop a strong foundation, mentally aligning myself with these things and knowing that this is what's being required for me was what ultimately allowed me to get through this challenge and achieve that goal. So the next planet is Mars. If Mars is currently being activated for you, then you should focus on the following. Number 1, developing willpower. Mars is a planet that requires a person to develop strong willpower. As mentioned earlier, Mars is a negative planet, and it makes things manifest with more difficulty. Working with the energy of Mars simply requires a person to develop willpower. One of the simplest things you can do is engage in activities that you know are actually going to help increase or improve your willpower. For example, meditation. Meditation is a great way to improve your willpower because it's something that you can work towards. Most people, when they begin meditating, they ultimately don't get into the practice because they find themselves not being able to align with the energy of meditation. And one of the things that's required with the energy of meditation is to just kind of sit there and allow thoughts to come and ignore the thoughts and just keep yourself present and grounded in the moment. This is difficult. This actually requires willpower. But one of the ways that you can utilize meditation to actually develop willpower, especially if you're in this Mars activated time period, is to attack it in a systematic way. So you slowly build up your willpower over time. So as you're approaching meditation, you slowly work up. First 5 minutes for a couple days, then 10 minutes, and eventually you get to this point where you can make that decision that, yes, I want to do this thing, and you have started to build up that muscle of willpower. Willpower is really a muscle that it can be built up, but it's not something that we can just access right away. Most people can't access it right away. So one of the things that you can do while you're in this Mars activated time period is to begin building up your willpower. And one of the easiest things that you can do is to start a daily meditation practice with the goal of meditating for a few minutes each day and slowly work your way up to 20 or 30 minutes. This will definitely help you build up your willpower. All right, next planet is the sun. If the sun is currently being activated, you need to focus on the following. First and foremost, the sun requires you to be consistent. If you take nothing else away and you are in a sun time period right now, you need to focus on being consistent. If you think about the sun, it's actually one of the most consistent things that, it's one of the most consistent energies in our lives. The sun comes up every single day and we can rely on it. We know that the sun is going to be there. Many people, they talk about it like they want to live in areas where there's a lot of sunlight, where it's warm, because the sun makes us feel good. Part of the reason the sun makes us feel good is because the sun is a very consistent planet. It doesn't matter if it's raining, if it's snowing, if it's really, really cloudy, the sun is still there. The sun is consistent. Even if you can't see it, you can still see all of the light otherwise. Even when it's dark, even when it's cloudy, the sun is still there. So the biggest thing that we can learn from the sun is being consistent. And if you are in a sun activated time period, you're going to want to focus on being consistent. Align yourself with the law of attraction and try to bring this energy in. Try to manifest this energy that, yes, I want to be consistent. My focus is going to be on being consistent. Okay, number 2, the second thing you can try to develop when you're in the Sun Saturn time period is good habits. The sun is a planet of leadership. The sun is a planet of positivity. The sun is actually one of the planets that we look up to. We look up to it every day. And if you think about that concept of looking up to something, why do you look up to something? You look up to something when you're inspired by it, when it motivates you, when you know that there's something good there and you want to try to do some of those same things. You want to have those same type of qualities that you're looking up to. So when it comes to the sun, in addition to developing consistency, you want to develop good habits. One of the easiest good habits that you can establish is a really good morning routine. And this aligns so nicely with the sun. The sun is the first thing that comes up in the morning, and developing good habits related to your morning routine can help you align yourself with the energy of the sun, because it's going to require you to be consistent, it's going to require you to develop good habits, and ultimately it's going to make you a person that people can look up to. So one thing that you can do in terms of developing good habits is just starting to wake up a little earlier. 15 minutes, 30 minutes, wake up earlier. Make sure you have a really solid, consistent morning routine. This is one of the easiest ways that you can actually work with the energy of the sun while you're in this time period and attract what the energy of the sun is all about, and utilize this energy while you're in this time period of the sun to benefit from the law of attraction. So waking up a little bit earlier, doing those good habits, like making your bed every morning, or maybe you want to begin working out or doing some breathing exercises, something that requires consistency and something that's also ultimately a good habit. These are easy things that you can do to align yourself with the energy of the sun and utilize what the energy of the sun is trying to teach you while you're in this sun activated time period. Okay, we're getting close to the end. The next planet is the moon. So if you're currently in a moon activated time period, what are some things you can focus on? Number one, you can focus on being adaptable. The moon is actually the most adaptable planet. We have a concept of planetary friendships in astrology, and the moon actually is friendly with every planet. There are some planets that it doesn't get along with as well, but ultimately the moon is a friend to all the other planets because it's so adaptable. If you think about the moon, it's changing all the time. You know, in a month, the moon is not the same. Where the sun is consistent, we see it all the time. It's usually in the same spot, same brightness, same warmth, depending on the time of the year. The moon is different depending on the time of the year. Those types of things, the moon is going to be different. It's going to be waxing or it's going to be waning. It's going to be getting bigger or it's going to be getting smaller. So one of the things that you can do while you're in this moon activated time period is to focus on that ability to be adaptable. Understand that various things are going to be coming into your life and learning to accept those things, learning to go with the flow. When things are good, be open to it, be receptive. Allow those good things to come in. You know, the moon, like Venus, is a feminine planet, and feminine energy is receptive, so it allows things to come to it. But, you know, sometimes shitty things happen, difficult things happen, and one of the best things that you can do while in the moon time period is to understand that you have to be adaptable. Okay, number two thing you can do if you're in a moon time period is to be nurturing. You know, the moon is a nurturing planet. The moon is related to motherhood. It's related to making us feel good, being that nurturing quality in our lives. You know, if you think about a mom, right? The moon's energy very much relates to the energy of a mother. A mother is very nurturing. She's very caring. She really loves and cares for her kids. So you need to try to have the same type of attitude towards yourself and towards other people. Be very nurturing, be very caring in terms of the relationships that you have in your life. But even more important than that is the relationship that you have towards yourself. Be nurturing towards yourself. Don't engage in negative self-talk. You know, don't look at all of the things that you lack. Understand that while you're in this moon activated time period, you're being asked to be adaptable, but ultimately you're going through this process where you're trying to transform. You're trying to move towards a more positive energy. And one of the things that's really going to help you do that, in addition to being adaptable, is to be nurturing. Being nurturing to yourself and being nurturing to the people in your life, the relationships in your life. This is something that's really going to benefit you while you're in this moon activated time period, and it's very nicely going to align with the law of attraction by allowing things to come into your life. You know, attracting the right things into your life, the right people into your life. But you have to be willing and open to work with this energy. Being adaptable even when things get hard, and knowing that this too shall pass. Good things are coming. Be adaptable. Number two, be nurturing. When things are good, very easy to feel good, very easy to make other people feel good. Much, much more difficult to feel good, to make other people feel good when shitty things are happening, when life is difficult. But this is what the moon is asking you to do. if you're in a moon activated time period. Being adaptable and being nurturing. All right, so the next planet we're going to be discussing is Mercury. If Mercury is currently activated in your life, here are some of the things that you can focus on. Number one, critical thinking. If Mercury is currently being activated for you, developing your skills when it comes to critical thinking is actually really going to benefit you during this time. Mercury is a planet related to communication, attention to detail, following the law, the rules. Mercury is a planet that represents all of those things. And Mercury is a planet very much related to intelligence and learning things. So by trying to focus on developing strong critical thinking skills, this is going to help you during this Mercury time period to manifest the right types of things and opportunities that are going to benefit you during this time. To work with the energy of Mercury in a very healthy way, it requires a person to approach problems and situations really from a place of logic. It's about understanding all of the various pieces of information, seeing all of the different angles when it comes to a problem, and then very objectively being able to hone in on what is the right decision, what is the next path forward. I remember when I was in grad school, one of our professors used to tell us there's no right and wrong, there's better and there's best. Working with the energy of Mercury really requires you to be able to identify what is that best option, what is the best solution. And the way to do that is by developing your critical thinking skills and developing the ability to be objective, think objectively, make decisions objectively, meaning you take all the facts into consideration, emotions, and how other people are going to feel. Those types of things, they're not really at the forefront when you're making a particular decision. What's really driving your decision is logic. It's the facts. It's understanding all the various elements associated with this problem and taking all of those things into consideration, synthesizing that information, and then from there making that decision that you ultimately know is going to be the best decision, because objectively, logically, thinking critically, this is the right move. This is the best decision in this situation. So focusing on critical thinking during this time is really going to benefit you. Another important thing that you can do during this Mercury time period is Mercury is such an intelligent planet. Mercury is able to see all of these different details. And one of the best things that you can do while you're in a Mercury time period is really develop the ability to pay attention to the details, looking at things in detail. Some of the people who have the best Mercuries in the world are going to be people like scientists and lawyers and doctors. And why is that? Why do they have such good Mercuries usually? It's because Mercury is that planet of details. It's really understanding things very, very thoroughly and knowing all the little specifics. And that's what separates, the good doctors and the good lawyers and the good scientists from the not so good, is they're really able to see all those little specific details and utilize that information to their benefit to make good decisions, to make objective decisions, to think critically. So one of the things that you can try to do while you're in this Mercury time period is really try to develop your ability to pay attention to details, focus on the details. Maybe you may not realize that, but actually when you read many published books, you're often going to find that there are little errors. There are things that are not correct. There are errors in what has been written, and that's okay. Nobody is perfect, but if you can begin training your brain to really start to hone in on specific details, on particulars, being able to catch mistakes, this is something that can really benefit you. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to link a couple resources that you can utilize to help you build these skills of thinking, to help you build these skills of critical thinking as well as attention to detail. Focusing on these two things is really going to benefit you during this Mercury time period. All right, so the final two planets that we are going to discuss are the north and the south nodes of the moon. Now, the north and the south node of the moon are not actually planets. They're actually points in space. They're points in space where eclipses occur, both solar and lunar eclipses. Now, because the north and south node of the moon are not physical planets, but they're actually points in space where eclipses occur, I'm going to be making a separate video on how to work with either of those planets if you're currently running a time period of the north node or the south node of the moon. But be on the lookout. I'm going to be making another video related to the north and the south node of the moon, so be on the lookout for that video. But I hope today's video has been helpful and beneficial for you. The law of attraction is a very powerful thing, but it doesn't always work or play out the way that it's taught to us, through media and books and those things. There's more that needs to be taken into consideration. There are more nuances involved, and I think this is a place where astrology can really help us understand what's going on when we're trying to work with this energy of the universe, when we're trying to use the law of attraction to benefit our lives. What we need to do is we need to mentally align ourselves with where are we currently in our path, right? Which planet are we currently running? What energy is being activated in our lives? And simply by aligning yourself with that energy appropriately and opening yourself up and making yourself accepting that this is what's being asked of you from the universe at this particular moment in time is something that's going to benefit you greatly and really going to bring more harmony and alignment into your life. So again, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it beneficial, and if you like this video, please check out some of my other videos, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.